Jai Hind everybody. I am Dr. Rashmi Sharma, Assistant Professor in Department of Information Technology of Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. Today we would be discussing about the topic of design guidelines, including what are the different guiding principles which we should follow to design a human-computer interface. Along with this, in this topic, we would be discussing what are the different Schneiderman 8 golden rule, and if time permits, then we would be discussing about Norman's principle also. So this is the major topic or the critical topic, complex topic, which usually comes as a 10-marker question in AKTU examination. So what do we mean by why this particular design principles are required? So basically, for requirement of this design principle, we should know what is the importance of a good designing. So practically, if I ask you that if you have to design a door so that everybody should come in and go out of that particular door, that is the basic functionality of that particular door should be fulfilled. So the design which practically comes to our mind is a wooden door. But nowadays you might have seen that in our houses we usually have doors or the sliders in our balconies or in our patios so that we can see through that particular doors. So the main door is usually a wooden door, which is because of the security purpose. But the different doors which are being designed for your balconies or your utility balconies or your garden balconies, those are practically the glass doors. Why? Because we want to have a see-through or a transparent view from that particular door. But we don't want a transparent view from our main door. So we usually have approximately two doors. One is the net one and one is the wooden one. That is the importance of the design, which we can take it from our day-to-day example. So here, what do we mean? What is the importance of a good design? So we require an interface and a screen designs which really matters in our common sense. And we have the developers usually see almost identical screens representing in the screen real world. So how that real world is being designed? So as I have discussed the real world, so a bad design, usually we choose all the doors, all the closed doors which are made up of wooden. But a better suggestion is you should use the glass door for your patios or your balconies where you want a transparent view. Okay, so now we never seem to have time to find out what makes a good design. Whenever we go and visit different houses and we see that particular design, then we see, oh, this is different because this particular transparent doors are giving a wider view of that particular house. So having that particular wider view in your living area or in your bedroom is the basic reason. So here, when we are designing any system or designing any application, we should actually devote time to see what is practically the good design according to the user, what actually user wants from that particular system or the application or a web page. And if we do not look into that design, then we properly apply that particular thing. If we do it halfway around, then it doesn't satisfy the need of the user also, and user is not willing to accept that also. So having that particular finding out what makes a good design, if you are not devoting time for that, then how would we properly apply that particular thing? So this is because we have a workload, we have time constraint for developing that particular application or system or a web page. So we have to, this results in we have a lack of time duration or full time, and so for that we are not able to identify the proper design, and so we are not able to implement or apply that particular design. So a well designed interface is very important, or a screen is very important to the user. If it is the window which actually tells what are the capabilities of that particular system or the application or the web page, website which we are designing it. So actually it is a vehicle through which that particular task is being done. The critical task is being presented to the user so that user can sit on that particular vehicle and that particular critical task can be smooth going. Okay, the task often has a direct impact on the organizational relationship with its customers and its profitability. If customer is coming looking into your application or your web page or a website, then they would surely come and give you the business. And when they are giving you the business, then obviously there is a profitability to your business or your system. So the screen layout and the appearance affect a person in a variety of ways. Look, in India, we don't have a color specification problem, but in countries abroad, we have that a light pink color site is usually made for teenage girls. Okay, so if practically I design a normal web page or a website having a pink color, in India we won't be having any problem because according to us the designing is well and good. But if this particular site has been accessed outside the country, then surely looking into the pink color, the males or the boys won't access that particular site. So that is a direct impact, has a direct impact. The appearance has a direct impact on our persons who are using that particular site. So if they are confusing, if the sites or the users are confusing or they are inefficient, so they would have a difficulty and they would make more mistakes. So we should have a concise, crisp and a consistent information on the application or the website. So that is the first thing, that whenever you are having that consistent and crisp information, similarity in the color, having a neutral color. Having a neutral color doesn't mean that you should always have a white color, but you can have a light blue color, you can have a gray color, not specific like a pink color. So these particular reads have that user will attract on that particular application or a site, and they would, if it is consistent, crisp and it is concise also, user would be able to understand what is written on that particular application or what is being asked with them. So they won't make any mistakes, as it would be clear in understanding that particular problem. For example, if I say that a particular site tells enter your unique ID, enter your unique ID, but it is not specifying any of the name. So according to an Indian citizen, what all unique IDs I have? The first unique ID which I have is my passport. Second unique ID which I have is my Aadhaar number. The third unique ID which I have is my driving license. The fourth unique ID which I have is my voter ID. These are all 4 universal unique IDs which I have, and from these 4 unique IDs, I can be uniquely recognized as Rashmi Sharma. So you have to see the information here which is asked, enter your unique ID, is not specific. It is creating some difficulty, or it is creating a confusion in the mind of the user. What should I enter here? Is it asking my unique ID of the employee where I am working? No, because this system is a universal system. So any of these particular 4 can uniquely identify me. So you are having a confusion, you are creating a confusion in the mind of the user. When a user is being confused, then obviously there is a difficulty in identifying which ID should I do. I should write. If I'm having at my hand, in my hands, I have my driving license. If I enter my driving license as a unique ID here, so it was a difficult situation, but I came to a conclusion that I should enter my driving license because I have that in my pocket. But that was a mistake, because here it was expecting me to enter a Aadhaar number, which is a 16-digit number, but my driving license doesn't have that 16-digit number. So it has created a mistake. So we have a poor designing usually chase some people away from that system permanently, because if it is creating a confusion, then the user won't definitely not come to that particular system. Then it leads to aggravation. Obviously, अब कि नहीं करना ही काम. Okay, so aggravation is something which is I'm annoyed with that particular thing. Then frustration. Ki, oh, it's asking me same and I've entered this and it is giving me error. I've done this and it is again giving me error. Then it increases the stress also. So definitely we have two design principles. One is generic design principles and second is specific design principles. For generic, I can say that it has a broader aspect for the user. It is being generalized for the all users. So these particular systems, these generalized rules usually go for all your websites, because we want that it should be globalized. And for globalization, I should have same aspect, higher, lower, with all the interactive systems. Then comes the specific guidelines. For example, for generic guideline, I should say that I should have an authentication page whenever a user is creating an account. For authentication, obviously, I have a user ID and the password. Obviously, this user ID and a password. And this user ID should be a unique name. So this is some of the generic guidelines which we should follow. Then specific guideline is, obviously, I can tell you, you are having two different phones. One is your Android phone and another is your iOS phone. The functionalities on these two particular phones for the same application differs. Okay, so you have specific guidelines for iOS working system or iDevices, and you have different guidelines for your Android applications. So this comes out to be specific guidelines. So these are specific guidelines are more detailed and more specific to my Android operating system or to my iOS operating system. And here the designing becomes a fun for that particular case. So coming to this particular, as you have the general design principles. You have the most important one are your 8 golden rules, which are designed by Schneiderman in 1986. Okay, so these particular rules, as we say, are designed. These are 8 rules and these are also known as the golden rules. Why golden rule? Because these are specifically designed for graphical user interface. And whenever you see I'm discussing all these 8 rules, it was designed in 1986 when web was at its obviously its teenage stage, maybe, because in 1986 the internet was not so much popular. But for graphical user interface systems, these guidelines helped a lot. And when we will go through these particular guidelines, this definitely helps today also when a particular user or a designer is designing this particular system, and we apply this partially or fully applicable to all those particular systems. How we would look into this? So these guidelines does not provide detail of what to do. It doesn't provide us this what to do, but it tells us in a very broader aspect a picture how that particular system should be designed. So it provides us a broader picture for your guidelines, which is applicable to your system, to your interface, or to a web page, and so that for what that particular system is being designed. How we will look into this. So coming to these particular 8 rules, the first rule is strive for consistency. Strive is you should have urge. Striving is urging for that, and consistency is sameness, a equality or a similarity in each and every page. So consistency we can have at two levels. One is internal consistency and second is the external consistency. Internal consistency, if I take an example of a website which we are developing it. So if in a website, I will take the same example for all these particular 8 golden rules. This particular website, I'm considering I have 10 pages, and in all those particular 10 pages, I should have a home icon on the top left corner. I should have a next and a previous button on my bottom right corner. Okay, so this is a consistency which I require. But if this home page by chance comes to my top right, then my consistency is not being there in the system. This is the first type of consistency which I can ask you. So we can have some consistency as in terms of symbol metaphors. As I told that we have a previous and a next button and a home button. That is the symbolic metaphor. Or across the text. That is all this particular text. In this particular, it would be new Times Roman font size 12. So there should be some consistency regarding a general thing which, or this is the new Times Roman for the text. Okay, so we should have some consistency. It would be in always, it would be in a black color. The text would be in the black color and my background would be light blue color. So some consistency should always be there while we are designing a particular system. Example I've given, suppose we are designing a job with multiple windows, and to close a window we use a red circle. Obviously we have this cross button here. This cross button is there in a red circle. So here the cross button, here we have the maximize button, and here we have the minimize button. So some consistency should always be there when this is internal consistency. Now comes external consistency. External consistency is, see, when we were a kid, we were told that the icons which have a red color, because the fire has a red color, so danger sign has a red color. So we should not touch all those items which are red in color. Okay, so this we have learned when we were kid. So similarly, when you grew up, when you came to a teenage, you should see the red color on your red light signals tells you that you have to stop. That is a warning sign. You don't have to cross that particular signal. So this is in sync which tells this danger. When you see this particular inflammable petrol, diesel going on in the trucks or the tankers, it also tells you it's highly inflammable. It has a red circle with a face skull on it and a cross on that particular. It's also a red color. When you are having a warning message, it gives you a circle with a red color. This is a red color and this is a black color. So all these things, this is externally we are connecting it. The red color is for danger. If anything red is occurring in our system or anything red is there, means there is a warning and we have to take care of that particular warning. So this is external consistency. We use same standard in our design of our day-to-day life that looks something. So here I have given the example that traffic signals are 3 color red, yellow to slow down, red to stop, and green to go. And so that is in sync. The same cross button with the red gives us the, which is in sync with the external thing which is not existing in the system, but that is coming from what we have learned when we were kids. Then comes, it should be designed for universal usability. Here, universal usability means each and every person should be able to use that particular application. Remember, each and every person, a sabji wala is also using a Paytm, a guard is also using a Paytm, and I, as an assistant professor, is also using a Paytm. We all have different intellectual powers, but we all are using the same application because we can use that. It is so simple and so easy that we can use it. So here, I can tell you we have three types of users. One is novice, second is intermittent, and third one is the expert user. Obviously, the novice, for each and every different group of people, we have different types of functionality which is designed in that particular system or the application. So for what do we mean by novice user? Who are coming for the system for the first time, who are visiting that particular system for the first time. So they should know if they have made some particular error. The message should be so simple and easy to understand for a sabjiwala also. Okay. Intermittent user, a person who is using that particular application frequently, maybe in a fortnightly or a weekly basis. So he knows maybe somehow that this is the cross button which cancels this application. And the expert user are who are expert in that particular field. As we belong to this computer science field, so we are expert in using any of the software applications. So we know nuts and bolts of everything. Looking into a simple application of our MS Word, whenever we have to do a copy paste option. For a novice user, we select that particular text, we go to edit, we have an option copy, then we take the cursor to the position where we have to paste, and then we do a paste option. Okay, so this is sample. First step is to select, second is go to edit menu, then third one is to copy, then take the cursor there where you want to paste, and fifth one is to paste, and it is being copied there. Okay, for intermittent user, this becomes very easy because he knows he has to go to file menu, edit menu, and then copy and then paste. But for an expert user, I have a option of Control C for copying and Control V. We have to take the cursor where we have to select. So we are selecting, we are doing Control C, then taking the cursor where we have to copy, and then we are doing a Control V. So these are called as the accelerator keys, or these are also called as the hotkeys. These are being given in your MS Word for expert user. These are for your novice users and for your intermittent user. So each and every application should have a room for a novice, an intermittent, or an expert user. So that gives you universal usability. Then comes for this, for every category of users, we should have different features. As I've discussed all these things, we have a both menu based and hotkey or accelerator key based. So this example which is being described here, I have discussed this. One more example here is we have a progress bar. When we do a Control C, Control V from one folder to another, we are copying it, we get a progress bar. You might have seen this green color, and as it is progressing, the copying of the files is being done, it progresses. This is a green color option. And when it completely covers or it completely saves it, this automatically, this window goes off. And where you have copied that particular thing, its color changes. One option. The progress bar gives, for a novice user, it tells how many percent it has completely copied from one place to another. Changing the color of the floppy disk. When you have made some changes in your MS Word, the floppy disk option which is there on the top right corner here, the save button, the save option, this becomes activated. And when you save it, this turns to a gray operation. That is, when you have saved, you have not made any changes, then it becomes a gray out. And if some changes, even an enter key is being pressed, then this becomes active, that there was some change and you have to save it. So these visual things, gives a view to a novice user also that you have done some changes and that are been accepted by the system. So it's completed successfully. You can see if it is not been completed successfully, it would give you a error message or a message, and you can have the feedback accordingly. Then obviously you should have an informative. This was the example for the informative feedback, this color change, and this for progress bar. So whenever it has completely covered this green option, it gives you copied, saved. If they are not able to save or that file is open, do you want to overwrite it? Do you want to replace it? Do you want to skip it? You have 2-3 options: skip, copy, paste. So for these particular things, the changing color option, this particular information should be very informative. Feedback should be given. Even a new user or a novice user can understand it. Obviously the expert user knows where the problem is arising. So the save menu option for editing, the save color changing option for that particular icon, floppy disk, as I have discussed. So window gives all these particular option. You can have a file save option, file save as option, or a floppy disk option. So before saving it, it comes with a color, and after saving, the color of that particular floppy disk changes. Then come fourth rule, that is designing dialogues to yield the closure. When you have some particular closure of operations or some error is being there in between, you should give a feedback related to the previous work which you have done, or an activity into a group, that is the for beginners, for middle person, and for the end users. Or there can be some feedback option for each and every group of people. So here the example which I have taken, that when you are doing a online shopping, and if you add some specific item to the cart and you want to view that particular cart, when you are viewing that particular cart, you see that it gives you, do you want to continue shopping? Do you want to check out and apply that particular coupon which you have? So for each and every type of group of people, you can have different options. So you have lots of subtasks and you group them together for helping. If I want to purchase some clothing or a kitchen item, then I have to go to home and then kitchen accessories or kitchen appliances. If I want to purchase a washing machine, or if I want to purchase a microwave. So you have some particular things, and some feedback should be given at the end of each group, so that you know if that particular activity is successfully completed or not. So that should be at different levels. You have added to the cart, you can check that particular cart. Do you want to check out? No. Do you want to continue to the shopping? So you have two options here. Here adding to the cart, here we are viewing the cart, and here shopping continued or checkout. So for each and every stages, we can have different things. Then the rule fifth is offer preventive and simple error handling. Obviously, if you have done something wrong in your system, and if I give you a whole lot of big message that this particular on the hard disk, this particular memory address is being corrupted and you cannot save the value there, do you think that particular novice user or an intermediate user would be able to understand that particular dialog box which he is getting? No. We want a very simple, easy word, so that a novice user can understand. So we have to keep obviously the error rate should be very less. We should convey each and every information clearly in an easy manner to our users, so that they can enter the correct information as we require. And after doing that, we should not don't show them complicated error messages, because if we show them complicated error messages, they may get frustrated, they may panic. And if they are frustrated or they panic or they come into a stress condition, they won't come to our site again for visiting it. So any design should strive for preventing errors. First thing, we have to prevent errors. Less and less errors should be there. Then if prevention is not possible, then how to overcome to come to the earlier situation, a mechanism should be there. A easy method message should be there. You have to click OK and it would revert back that particular condition. So objective should be to keep the error rate low and for handling some error mechanism, so that you can revert back that particular option. So if some error happened, then complicated error message should not be shown. As we have discussed, the error message should be understandable in natural language, in technical terms as possible, and the objective should be for designing an interface. The sixth rule is easy reversible of action. Obviously, as we have discussed, you should have a undo and redo option. In fifth rule, we have seen that if some error has occurred, then we should be able to roll back that condition. For rolling back, we should be able to do undo option should be there. And if by doing undo some mistake has been occurred, then we should be able to do a redo option. So suppose we have some mistakes or some error, then we should be able to go back to a stage where it is very safe and things were not as bad as the current situation. So we have, whatever the action we have taken, we landed into a situation where error has occurred, and in that current situation, if we revert back that particular action, we would land to a safer place where no error was occurred. So easy reversible. So easy undo and redo option should be there. The third is keep user in control. Whenever you are doing anything, user should think that everything is in user's control. It is not the designer, it is not the system which is doing work, but it is the user who is performing that particular activities. So we should see user should be able to perceive the interaction, should be able to make the changes. If you want to save a document in a specific folder, you should drag and drop into that particular folder. While dragging and dropping, the user feels that it is in his control. Even though the system is directing it, even the designer is directing it who has designed that particular system, but user should feel that it is in his control. It is his baby whom he is directing, and that particular system is doing the work according to the users. If user doesn't feel that, then user won't visit again to that particular system or the application. Then the root, instead user can select two files where we want two files, and if we allow to perform drag and drop operation to achieve a file movement, then the user actually feels that he's able to see what is being happening. You are able to copy paste. So if user can visualize also and user can do it also, then user thinks that it is his baby or it is under his control. Okay, so this gives a user a feeling of control to the system. This type of visualization of the operation helps to feeling control, and that should aim for any designer interface. The last eighth rule is reduce the short-term memory load. This is the most important rule. This is called as the 7. This is written as 7 plus minus 2 rule. That is, if 7 plus 2 gives me 9 and 7 minus 2 gives me 5. This is the short-term memory and this is the long-term memory. For a practical aspect, we should use a short-term memory of any of the user. We should not, we don't know that the novice user has a knowledge of computer or this particular system or this particular domain. So we should know, we should think that only user can understand or remember 5 things. Minimum 5 things which are very general, and you should have use that particular knowledge all over that particular navigation path. So if the interaction required to purchase knowledge, it creates a problem because the short-term memory is supposed for a limited capacity. The capacity is between 9 to 5. 9 is for the grayscale user, 5 is for a normal user. So a user cannot have indefinite knowledge. Within the limited capacity of the knowledge is reconstructed, then it should take place smoothly and usability of that particular system improves. If the knowledge required to interact is more than that particular 9 and 5, that is 7 plus minus, then the usability doesn't seems to be smooth for that particular user. And so you should have, in a short term memory, it should hold between 5 to 9 pieces at a time, but usually we should keep to 5 only, not 9 also. The pieces of information can be assumed the unit of information which is in the memory of the user which is using it, and we should not force the user to use more than that particular thing. So somebody can hold 7 unit of information of that particular design, somebody can hold 5, somebody can hold 9. So we should not exceed, in short, we should not exceed that particular memory, and we should be very careful while designing that particular interface that it should not remember more than that particular thing. So in this video, what we have discussed, what are the different designing principles we can have a specific guiding principles which are generalized. One can be the generalized designing principles, as we have discussed all these particular 8 rules. You can have a specific system for Android, iOS, Samsung, and so on and so forth, specific to some particular application or a system. And the generalized one, where 8 Schneiderman golden rules. In the first, we had that we should strive for the consistency that can be internal in the external consistency. The rule 2 says that it should be designed for universal usability. The rule 3 says it should offer an informative feedback so that user is satisfied what is being given to it. And rule 4 says that you should design the dialogues to yield a closure if it is being closing it or some error has been occurred. Rule 5 says that you should offer a prevention and then stop the error handling. Simple error handling should be there. Then rule 6 tells that you should have a easy reversible action, so that wherever you landed is creating an error, then you can come to a safe zone when by reversing it. And the 7th rule says that the user should think that every system which is being there is in his control. It is being designed, it is being working as the user wants. And the last rule is you should reduce the short-term memory which the user has to use. These are the 8 golden rules given by Schneider in 1986. Whenever you design any system now also and you remember these particular 8 rules, then your system would be readily accepted by any of the novice, intermittent, or the expert user. So thank you for this video.